Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and this is again this is an off the cuff, middle of the night stream of conscience rant slash discussion. Because today I woke up and I'm looking at the trades as I do every day, and something got under my skin. Godzilla, the king of the monsters, to underperform with only 49 million domestic. And I'm like, 49 million? That movie was great. Like that movie was pretty damn fantastic. Everyone who's a Godzilla fan really has enjoyed that movie. I called it pure sex. It was people have told me that they've used that as a description of the film to their friends, and that's how they got people to go see it, which actually kind of I thought was pretty great. But this is a movie that you look at and you think, this is like pinnacle summer blockbuster. If this was like 1996, the year Independence Day came out, it would have been amazing. It would have been huge. It would have been Godzilla 1998. But remembered fondly and not made fun of. And Godzilla itself's not the problem. Godzilla is a damn symptom of a larger problem, but it's not the absolute problem. When I, read the news every week and I look to see what people are saying, I can't help but get the sneaking suspicion that deep down, the commentators out there, the pundits, the journalists, be it Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, their own website, that they secretly want movies to fail. I can't help but have that suspicion because it feels like they revel in movies failing. Not every movie, mind you, but I feel like a lot of it. And there's a reason for that, I think. I think they want it to fail because they want movies to be better. They want studios to produce better, more original content. Not everything has to be a major multi-$100 million tentpole blockbuster that's designed to spawn a whole universe of sequels. Not everything has to be Marvel or Star Wars or DC. But sometimes you just want it to be. Look at the MonsterVerse. They've done a good job with the MonsterVerse. I want it to be that. I wanted King Arthur to spawn that 7-film franchise because I just like the character of King Arthur. But not everything is going to last because they don't give it time to gestate. Studios are up against a wall. You know what I mean? They're stuck between a rock and a hard place constantly. But it's one of their own design. It's one of their own making. And this is why I don't necessarily feel super sad for movie studios, right? I really don't feel that bad for them. Because why would I? They have millions upon millions of dollars. They employ tens of thousands of people. And I'm a dude who lives in Washington who talks about movies for a living on YouTube that I'm able to eke out through a couple dollars per video. And you know what? I'm cool with that. But I still want movies to be great. I still want movies to be good. I still want movies to be profitable because I want to see more of them. The problem, though, is that Hollywood has lost its goddamn way. And they know it. They look to see what does well overseas. Right? I have a feeling that the big thing that's going to save Godzilla is definitely China and Japan, and that makes a lot of sense. It's what saved Pacific Rim. I think Godzilla did pretty well over there anyway a couple of years ago when it came out. And that emerging middle class in China is where a lot of money's coming from. I mean, Venom, $800+ million worldwide. Came within nut hair's distance of breaching Spider-Man Homecoming in terms of worldwide take-home, which is crazy. But see, something like Venom is one of those things where, again, it's a fluke. It's an absolute fluke to pull in that kind of cash. Because realistically, while the movie was fun, and I enjoyed it, and it got better the more times I watched it, it's still objectively not a great film. Godzilla King of the Monsters is objectively a good movie. It hits all the points. Cinematically is amazing. The effects are gorgeous. and it ties into a larger narrative, a larger theme, a larger storyline that just failed to meet its mark here in the United States. And again, I'm just coming at this from a fanboy perspective. However, let's kind of take a look here at what studios are doing wrong. And there's a couple things. One, they don't know spacing. And then many times when it comes to most of these films, they don't know pacing either, but that's another argument for another day. They don't know spacing. They really don't. Because the way I view it, this is a personal theory of mine. The summer movie season, those 3 months, May, June, July, because that's really what it is. Those 3 months, effectively, there is a finite amount of money that goes in. And I don't have an exact number. I spent 14 years working for movie theaters. I've done multiple summer seasons. For me, the way I approach it is I kind of look, there's like a finite amount of cash. And it gets divvied up amongst all the films. And when you have huge movies like Endgame, that sucks a lot of the oxygen out of the room. That fills up a lot of coffers that could be going to other movies. Because people will spend their money on that maybe 1 or 2 times, and that second time takes away from another movie. People will always justify spending money on entertainment. They're just getting pickier about the entertainment because entertainment is now far more accessible on a multitude of fronts. Why spend $12 to go to a movie when you can wait 3 months, it's on Blu-ray, you wait a few more months, it's on digital, and you get to see it. Oh, if you're curious about spoilers or whatever, you can just go online and read them. So that way you're fully aware of what's going to be there. So spacing is a big problem because there's not a lot of mystery in that crammed space anymore. And there's not a lot of mystery left to the imagination due to marketing as well. But I'll get to that here in a second. When I talk about spacing, we see these, I guess I don't want to call it flukes, but we see these examples. It comes out the first week of June or first week of September 2017, right after Labor Day. Comes out, does 300 million. That's unheard of. Usually September is a dead month, is a very, very dead month. People go back to school. The kids are back to school. Parents aren't wanting to take them out as much anymore. They're coming off a summer vacation, or maybe they spent a lot of money and they want to recoup it. So usually September, October, dead month. But now we're seeing those months kick out some big movies, and people are going to go see them. January is, at this point, probably the slowest month of the year. But even then, we're getting big name releases in January that are going to ultimately earn cash there. But what about releasing a big comic book movie in January? If it's a big event movie, right? Why not do it? Now, studios might argue that because of coming off of Christmas, they don't have the money. People will always justify entertainment. All I'm saying is it could be worth a shot. You could make a lot of money, be the biggest earner that month. Space this stuff out. Go back to the summer of 2008. And I'm not kidding you. Go back and look at just the release schedule for that particular month, or that particular summer season, and you will see 2 to 3 big name movies coming out every single week. We're talking Iron Man, Tropic Thunder, Kung Fu Panda, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, The Dark Knight, other movies I'm forgetting right now. It's been 11 years. But I remember that summer, it was just insanely huge. It was insanely busy. And a lot of it's because all these movies were coming out. Now, in 2008, we were still in the recession, but the movies were doing well enough back then. Nowadays, it's just, all we would see is headlines, flop, 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 bomb, 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 bomb. That's all we would hear. That's all we do here. And like I said, I think people really get into the concept of being gleeful over these things, losing money. But that's what I don't get. Like, if it's your job to talk about movies, you should not want things to fail. Not that they're ever going to stop making movies, but that could potentially impact your business. At the same time, movie journalists have very little influence overall on anything. Just don't tell them that because they can handle that spicy banter. But really, for me, it's all about the spacing of films. and maybe picking and choosing a little bit better. Picking and choosing what movies come out and when a little bit differently. You know, I understand when a movie like Endgame comes out and The Hustle comes out right afterward. It's a movie you know is going up against, or The Long Shot, that movie The Long Shot with Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. They made it. It was a low budget comedy. It makes some money. It comes out on home video. That's where it finds its audience, and that's where it makes more money, supposedly, or it gets to streaming and syndication rights and things like that. You know, but still, what if they would have released it at a different time? What if they would have released it in like June or something? There's not a lot of comedies coming out anymore. Why run it up against Endgame when everyone's going to go see that? I know there's the idea there of being the alternative, but we already know it's going to get crushed. So what the hell's the point? And this is where studios are like really just, I think, throwing everything at the wall and hoping to God something sticks. We know that when it comes to the home video marketplace right now, it's kind of a crapshoot because digital sales are rising, but we're not ever getting those numbers. The studios are never releasing those numbers. So we don't know. We don't know how well something does. We don't know how good something does. If a movie comes out and it does well on Blu-ray or whatever, then there might be a headline that comes out about that talks about that. And that might spur some more sales because people do like the word of mouth aspect of it. But it does feel like these studios are just pumping out millions upon millions of dollars into these films, hoping that one will hit, $1 billion. And then every year they just keep making the same mistakes. The scripts are written with the world in mind. Their scripts are written with globalization in mind, meaning they want to have a simple concept that's easily transferable to different cultures. They want to have something that is written very easily for the audio dub companies to be able to do that over in those cultures. They write them stupider in order to, well, make that a reality. And the thing with that is, you know, you might sit there and go, well, Matt, that sounds like you're being condescending, or that, like, you know, these companies think that we're stupid. It's not that companies think that you're stupid, and it's not that I'm being disrespectful or they're being disrespectful. What it really boils down to is the fact that these companies want massive market exposure, and they're going to go about it in the easiest possible way. The path of least resistance is what they're going to do. And the first step of that is the script. Is it a high concept sci-fi action adventure film that you can have really cheesy jokes, one-liners, terrible dialogue like it came out of a coke-fueled bender from the 1980s? Cool beans. If it's easily adapted cross languages and cross cultures, even better. So we're getting crappier and crappier content that just looks prettier and prettier. The idea here ultimately is that you can't polish a turd, but they kind of are polishing a turd. But then you get into Netflix and Hulu and the other streaming services that are crafting the golden age of television. We're well in the golden age. I'm hoping it's like a long summer from Game of Thrones. You know, it's that kind of golden age of TV that lasts a long time. And it's rivaling Hollywood in regards to storytelling, because people still like a good story with good characters, and they're getting that on TV, and they're getting it more frequently. They're getting it more often, and they can talk about it. Hollywood doesn't provide that anymore, and it never really did. So movies are never ultimately going to go away. But until Hollywood starts writing better films and coming up with better stories and not trying to micromanage and overproduce and fit it into a square peg round hole for a franchise, and movie bloggers and movie pundits stop wanting everything to fail in order to capitalize on it, which I think the negativity of that starts to sow discourse within the general movie-going populace. And I know that's weird to say, because if I say that those people aren't as influential as you might think, I'm referring to that in a positive of going to see something. Now, I give you two examples of that real quick. Number one was Dread 2012, and the other one was Pacific Rim 2013. Dread and Pacific Rim, objectively good movies. Hell, Dread is like GOAT. Okay, and that movie did terrible. But the week after that movie came out, the movie bloggers were out there begging people to go see the movie, begging the readers to tell their friends to go see the movie. It failed. Same thing happened with Pacific Rim. It failed. But when you read these reviews for something like Godzilla and the reviewers are upset that there's not enough humans in the movie, or it's just something really pedantic, and they give it a rotten review, the negativity is so much easier to sell than positivity, because we're naturally predisposed to negativity. Everything we do in life is an avoidance of negativity, but we're very easily susceptible to it. As I've said before, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it on this channel, I personally believe that we are never taught what it means to be happy. We are never taught what it means to be content, and we are never taught that it is okay to do so. And that's one of the reasons why our entertainment suffers as a result, because we're never taught to accept it for what it is. We're never taught to accept it for what it for someone else's creation, and we look at it in the perspective of it's never good enough. We set our own expectations up to the point of where they can never truly be achieved, and that is a societal problem that comes from the fact that we have bred ourselves to believe that nothing is ever truly good enough. And I think if you were to look deep down into your life, deep down into your soul, deep down into your personal experiences, you would have multiple times when you have what you want, but you realize that it is not enough, and you still can't answer that question as to why. And that is a learned trait, a learned behavior, and it very much applies to how we view our entertainment. Because like I said, at the beginning of this whole rant, which is completely unscripted, top of my head, we will always justify entertainment, and we're always looking for entertainment to satiate us, and it never truly does, because it ultimately is not designed to. And we're also taught to never be satisfied, so we look for every flaw, every defect, every scuff, every dent, every rip, every tear, every cut, and we focus on it, we harp on it, we rag on it, and we never appreciate the good. And I am guilty in that regard as well. I am guilty in that regard as well, and I will own up to my part in that. You know, like as an example, I want to like The Last Jedi. It is so hard for me to get to that mind space, because I just think of all the things about it that just don't make sense. And so what that does is it overshadows everything about the movie that is good. And there are good elements in that movie. It is well directed. The score is amazing. The cinematography is fantastic. There are good technical elements to that film that I want to love. It just doesn't match up to my expectations for the story or the characters or for the longevity or for the long-lasting nature of the film. And again, I could go off for hours and hours and hours about that. I'm not going to. But I'm using it as an example. Primarily an example of what I feel is fundamentally wrong with the film discourse in this country, and the fact that movies suffer as a result. And it's not just people, by the way. It's the studio and their overreaction to certain things. It's the studio and how they want to approach projects. It's the studio and how they want to see worldwide globalization of these films. And it's also the other side of that too. No side is ever truly happy. If a movie makes $2 billion, you can bet your ass there's going to be a sequel. With the exception of basically Titanic. Because James Cameron didn't want to do it. Not that Fox didn't pitch it. There was talks for a while about a sequel to Titanic. I'm not even kidding you. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what to do. I try to be enthusiastic in my coverage of films. I love movies. I love the feeling I get. I love the experience I get. I love all this stuff. I really do. I'm very passionate about it. But I see these glaring problems, and I don't know how to fix them. I'm open to ideas. I am. But Hollywood is smart. They know what's going on. But even them, I believe, are like a deer in headlights, and they're just too afraid to move before they eventually get run the fuck over. That's how I view that. Anyway, this thing is way longer than I had anticipated. I apologize for it being nearly 20 minutes. If you made it this far, I do appreciate that. I look forward to your thoughts and your opinions on this. Let me know down in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later. Do me a favor and type in movie into the chat so I know you made it this far. And have yourself a great day, guys. And I'll see you at the movies. All right. Peace out.